The seconds are out. The crowd is waiting. The boxers are getting ready to battle. Time for another edition of the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast with your presenter, Greg Rashid.
I want to say swaddy krop to everyone out there, which means hello in Thai. This is Greg Rashid with another edition of the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast. I'm so happy you joined me today for another edition of the program. If you're new to the program, yes, I'm in Bangkok, Thailand. And what we do on this program, if you're listening, you're probably a boxing fan. What we do on here, we do fantasy fights. I know some of you, if you're boxing fans, you wonder sometimes, what would happen if Alexander Usyk fought Lennox Lewis? Or what would happen if Muhammad Ali fought Mike Tyson? Well, that's what we do on this program. We use various games, be it computer games and card and dice games. And today we're using Legends of Boxing 2 PC game created by Gary W. Brown to do our fantasy fight. We also talk about real boxing in the real world. We also have debates on here. We interview authors and boxing game creators from time to time. And then we do some other subjects sometimes. And at the end of the program, we always play a little music. But right now, we're going to get to our fight, our main event. But I have to say this before that. I'm very saddened to learn that last week we lost one of my favorite fighters, a great fighter, Boxing Hall of Famer, Dwight Muhammad Akwawi, who passed at the age of 72 after suffering for many years from dementia. Just a great fighter, a great person. You know, and he was originally a convict, went to jail, but changed his life, learned how to box in prison, and became light heavyweight champion in the 70s, as well as cruiserweight champion. And if you don't know Kwawi, I mean, he was 5'6", and he was just beating guys like they were nothing. He would always, like, someone hit him, and he would just start smiling. And that the style of fighting he had these real short arms, and he looked like a fire plug, and he was called the Camden Buzzsaw. I mean, he was something. You don't see that style in any weight division now. The way he fought, he was just something. If you've never seen him, I suggest you look at the Evander Holyfield versus Dwight Kwawi fight, the first one for the light heavyweight championship. And that's the first fight, went 15 rounds, and it's a legendary fight. It is something. Check it out. Because Kwawi, I mean, it's a split decision. Holyfield wins by split decision, but Kwawi, I mean, he was something in that. That fight is something. All his fights were always just amazing. And he even fought in the late 80s. This guy's 5'6". He fought George Foreman. Foreman's, 6'4", and was giving Foreman a hard time. That's the type of fighter this guy was. And Kwawi, you know, before he became champion, he went to Rawway, where he had been incarcerated, to fight James Scott, who at the time was ranked as a light heavyweight fighter, and also they were considering him to fight for the light heavyweight championship, but the powers that be said, no, we can't have this guy. We can't have a lifelong prisoner, someone sentenced for murder is going to be in prison all his life as the light heavyweight champion. So Kwawi goes into prison, and he fights Scott and beats him. And that was Scott's last fight. And that's on YouTube. Check that one out. But Kwawi just something. Just an amazing fighter. So sad to hear about his passing. Just a great guy. You know, just check him out when you can on the internet. Just a great, great fighter. But right now, we're going to get to our fantasy fight today. As I said before, this fight is simmed by Legends of Boxing 2 PC game. And we're talking about heavyweight division, Tyson Fury versus Joe Louis. And I know a number of you are saying, wait a minute. Tyson Fury 6'9". How could Joe Louis 6'2", 6'3", even fight a guy like that? But you know, It's funny. Usyk right now is the heavyweight champion of the world. And they always are saying, he's a little heavyweight. He's the same height as Lewis, the same height as Muhammad Ali. And they weren't considered little, and they aren't little. So we're going to have this fight today, and as always, we're going to have the one and only Knockout Nigel as our commentator. And before we do that, I want to say hi to all my friends throughout the world. Got some new fans in Britain, but I always want to say hi to all the folks that listen. And my former state, it's still my state in many ways, because I lived there for 20 years. I'm talking about Colorado. All the folks that listen every Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. on KUHSdenver.com, created by the one and only Henry Archuleta. And I plan to get back to Colorado at some point. But right now I'm here in Bangkok, loving this area. And we're going to get to the fight right now. Knockout Nigel, Fury versus Lewis. So let's take it away.
Cheers. This is Knockout Nigel, your humble commentator, coming to you live from the electric atmosphere of Wembley Stadium in Britain for a colossal heavyweight showdown between two titans of the ring, Tyson Fury and Joe Louis. The air is thick with anticipation as 90,000 fans pack this historic venue for a 12-round clash that promises to be a classic. Let's dive into the tale of the tape and the storied histories of these two pugilistic giants before the bell rings. Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King, hails from Manchester, England, standing at a towering 6 feet 9 inches with an 85-inch reach. At 37 years old, Fury's unorthodox style, slick footwork, and sheer size have made him one of the most enigmatic heavyweights of his era. His record stands at 34 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw, with 24 knockouts. Fury's career highlights include dethroning Vladimir Klitschko in 2015 to claim the WBA, WBO, and IBF titles, and his epic trilogy with Deontay Wilder, where he showcased resilience and heart, particularly in their 2021 masterpiece. Known for his psychological warfare and ring IQ, Fury's ability to adapt mid-fight and use his size to lean on opponents makes him a nightmare to face. His comeback from personal struggles outside the ring only adds to his legend as a fan favorite. Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber, is a legend from a different era, born in Alabama in 1914 and fighting out of Detroit. At 6 feet 2 inches with a 76-inch reach, Louis was a compact, devastating force. His record boasts 66 wins, 3 losses, with 52 knockouts. Louis held the heavyweight title from 1937 to 1949, defending it a record 25 times, a feat unmatched in boxing history. His precision, power, and calm demeanor under pressure made him a cultural icon during a time of racial adversity. Louis's signature combinations, crisp jabs followed by thunderous right crosses, felled giants like Max Schmeling and Primo Carnera. His legacy as a trailblazer and one of the hardest punchers ever to lace up gloves looms large tonight. Now, with the introductions done, the fighters are in the ring, staring each other down. The referee gives final instructions, and I will take my first nip of bubbly as round 1 begins.
And we're underway at Wembley.
Both men are cautious, circling the ring like two predators sizing each other up. Fury, with that massive height advantage, flicks out a few tentative jabs, testing Louis's guard. The Brown Bomber is compact, bobbing and weaving, his eyes locked on Fury's chest. Louis throws a sharp left jab to the body, but Fury slides back, using his long legs to keep distance. It's a chess match early on, folks. No big shots landed yet. Fury's moving side to side, grinning, trying to get into Louis's head. Louis remains stone-faced, stalking forward, but not overcommitting. The crowd's buzzing, but this is a slow, feeling-out round. There's the bell, A tactical start, no clear winner. Here we go for round 2, and Joe Louis is turning up the heat. He's pressing forward, cutting off the ring, and landing a stiff jab to Fury's face. Fury's trying to keep his distance, but Louis is relentless, slipping inside and digging a right hand to the body. The brown bomber's looking sharp, his punches crisp and economical. Fury's circling, but Louis cuts him off. Oh, what a shot! In the final seconds, Louis lands a vicious right cross to Fury's jaw, and down goes the Gypsy King. The crowd roars as Fury hits the canvas. He's up at the count of 4, shaking his head, looking dazed. The bell rings before Louis can pounce again, saving Fury from further punishment. What a statement from Joe Louis. Fury's corner must have had some choice words after that knockdown. He's out for round 3, looking to slow things down. Louis is stalking again, but Fury's grabbing and holding, tying up Louis's arms every time he gets close. The referee's not happy. Fury's clinching too much, and there's a warning from the ref for excessive holding. Louis lands a few jabs, but Fury's smothering his offense, leaning on the smaller man. It's a slower round, folks. Not much clean action. Fury's using his size to frustrate Louis, but the crowd's getting restless. There's the bell, and it's a scrappy round that favors Fury's survival instincts. Louis is back on the attack in round 4, and he's targeting Fury with precision. A series of stinging left jabs snap Fury's head back, followed by a brutal right hook to the body that makes Fury wince. The Gypsy King's on the back foot, unable to land anything significant. Louis is relentless, mixing his attack, jabs to the face, hooks to the ribs. Fury's covering up, looking wobbly, like he's one big shot away from going down again. Louis smells blood, but Fury's hanging on, using his reach to keep some distance. The crowd's roaring for Louis, who's dominating this round. The bell rings, and Fury's corner must have lit a fire under him, because the Gypsy King comes out swinging in round 5. He's using that long left jab, popping it in Louis's face, and dancing around the ring with surprising agility for a man his size. Louis seems a bit thrown off by Fury's movement and hand speed, struggling to close the distance. Fury's finding his rhythm, landing a crisp 1-2 combination that catches Louis flush. The brown bomber's still stalking, but he's not landing much this round. Fury's confidence is growing, and he's taunting Louis, dropping his hands to bait him in. The bell sounds, and that's a big round for Fury, his best so far. Fury's carrying that momentum into round 6, jabbing and moving, keeping Louis at bay. He's looking sharp, using his reach to frustrate the brown bomber. But wait, oh my goodness! Midway through the round, Louis uncorks a massive left hook, and Fury's down again. The crowd erupts as Fury crashes to the canvas. He's up at the count of 8, but he looks hurt, folks. Louis is stalking, throwing bombs, while Fury's holding and retreating, trying to survive. The Gypsy King's legs are shaky, and he's grabbing Louis at every chance to slow the onslaught. The bell rings, and Fury's saved again, but Louis is firmly in the driver's seat. Phased a fight we're witnessing. Fury's back is against the ropes, literally, leaning on the far ropes, daring Louis to come forward. The brown bomber obliges, and we've got a furious exchange. Both men are trading heavy shots. Fury lands a sharp uppercut, and Louis fires back with a right hand. Fury's holding his ground, refusing to move off the ropes, and he's getting the better of this slugfest. A big right hand from Fury rocks Louis's head back, and the crowd's on its feet. Louis is still dangerous, but Fury's heart and resilience shine through. The bell ends a thrilling round, and that's a huge moment for the Gypsy King. Fury's staying on the ropes in round 8, fighting with his back against the wall. Louis senses an opportunity and unloads. Devastating left and right hooks crash into Fury's guard, rocking him. Fury's covering up, clinching desperately to weather the storm. The crowd's roaring as Lewis pours it on, but Fury's holding on for dear life. In the corner, Fury's team looks worried. They know their man's taking a beating. Lewis is landing clean shots, and Fury's unable to respond effectively. The bell rings and Fury stumbles back to his corner. Lewis is pulling ahead, and Fury needs a miracle to turn this around. Into round 9, and Lewis is stalking Fury like a lion hunting prey. Fury's resorting to a high guard, unusual for a man with his height advantage, trying to block Louis' onslaught. The brown bomber's jabbing with precision, and Fury's weak, probing jabs are easily parried. Lewis counters with his own crisp jabs, keeping Fury on the defensive. The Gypsy King's looking tired, unable to impose his will. Lewis is relentless, cutting off the ring and landing body shots that sap Fury's energy. The bell sounds, and it's another dominant round for Joe Louis. Fury's corner has to be scrambling for answers. Round 10, and the pace has slowed to a crawl. The crowd's not happy, booing loudly. Fury's dancing around the ring, refusing to engage, while Lewis stalks, but only throws a few weak left jabs. It seems the brown bomber's taking a breather, conserving energy for the championship rounds. Fury's moving, flicking out jabs, but there's no power behind them. This is the slowest round of the fight, folks, and the fans are letting the fighters know it. The bell rings, and both men head to their corners with little damage done. A tactical round, but not one for the highlight reels. Round 11, and Fury's found a second wind. He's landing combinations, catching Lewis with a sharp left-right to the head. Lewis has taken a step back, fighting more defensively, which is giving Fury confidence. The Gypsy King's moving better, using his jab to set up hooks that clip Lewis's chin. The brown bomber's still dangerous, but he's not throwing much, perhaps feeling the effects of the long fight. Fury's growing bolder, taunting Lewis again, and the crowd's back into it. The bell ends a strong round for Fury. He's clawing his way back into this fight. The final round, and what a way to close this epic battle. Fury comes out firing, throwing a volley of punches, but Lewis blocks most of them. Then, bam! Lewis lands a vicious right hook that snaps Fury's head back, blood spurting from his nose. The crowd's roaring as Lewis presses forward, but Fury's not done yet. In the last 50 seconds, Fury unleashes a flurry of combinations, landing clean shots to Lewis's face. The brown bomber's covering up, trying to weather the storm. They're toe-to-toe in the center of the ring, trading blows. Fury's getting the better of it, landing a sharp uppercut and a right hand as the crowd goes wild. The final bell rings, and both men raise their arms, exhausted but defiant. What a round, Fury's best of the night. What an absolute war at Wembley Stadium. Both men gave everything in this 12-round thriller. Joe Louis showed his legendary power with 2 knockdowns, dominating the early and middle rounds with precise, punishing shots. Tyson Fury, true to his Gypsy King moniker, fought back with heart, especially in the later rounds, stealing the final stanza with a gutsy performance. The judges are tallying their scorecards, but this one could be razor close. And there you have it, folks. The judges have spoken, and it's a unanimous decision for the brown bomber, Joe Louis. The scorecards read Judge 1, 117, 112. Judge 2, 115, 112. Judge 3, 115, 112. All in favor of Joe Louis. What a performance from the legendary heavyweight, whose relentless pressure, devastating hooks, and 2 knockdowns proved too much for Tyson Fury tonight at Wembley Stadium. The Gypsy King showed heart, especially in that thrilling final round, but Lewis's precision and power carried the day. The crowd's on its feet, saluting both warriors, but it's Joe Louis who emerges victorious in this clash of titans. I will now return you to our Bangkok studios. This is Knockout Nigel. Cheers.
Thank you, Knockout. You know, as I was listening to that fight, I was thinking Tyson Fury is going to pull that out and win it. I really thought he was going to win, but the judges gave it to Joe Louis, and I could see that. I know some of you out there are saying, well, you know, Joe Louis is still 6'2", 6'3", and Tyson is 6'9", but Joe Louis fought some giants. He fought Primo Carnera. He was 6'7.5". He fought Buddy Bear. Buddy Bear was 6'7.5" or so. So he could take on anyone, and I could see him giving Tyson Fury a hard time and beating him. I could see that. But what do you think? Let me know. Wherever you listen to the program, send me a card and just ask me just a line and say, what do you think? And by the way, if you want to promote a fight on here, if you want to be a Patreon member and then you can really promote fights, just go to patreon.com, look for Ringside Fantasy Fights and News. Again, Ringside Fantasy Fights and News. And do like so many other folks and donate $1 a month so we can get better equipment here and make the show as professional as possible. So do what you can. I know times are hard right now. These silly terrorists are causing problems all over the world, but do what you can. Do what you can. It really is appreciated over here. But right now, we're going to get to a favorite spot on our program. This is Kiki, the ring card girl, and she's going to give you the boxing history for this week. So take it away, Kiki.
This is Kiki, your ring card girl, with your boxing history for the week of August 3rd through August 9th. August 3rd, 1966. Eric Esch was born in Jasper, Alabama. He would later be remembered as Butterbean. August 4th, 1936. Henry Armstrong became world champion for the first time by defeating Baby Arizmendi. August 5th, 1931. Maxie Rosenblum retained his world light heavyweight title over Jimmy Slattery. August 6, 1956. After going bankrupt in 1955, the American national broadcaster Dumont Television Network made its final broadcast, a boxing match from St. Nicholas Arena. August 7th, 1997. Roy Jones Jr. regained his WBC light heavyweight title by first-round knockout in his rematch against Montel Griffin. August 8th, 2010. Devin Alexander won a decision over Andrei Kotelnik. August 9th, 2012. Nicola Adams became the first female Olympic boxing champion after winning gold at London Olympics.
Thank you, Kiki, for that. I met Montel Griffin back in 2002 in Denver at a fight. Excuse me, and I was introduced to him, and he immediately says, I don't even ask him. He says to me, well, Roy Jones didn't really knock me down. He didn't knock me out. I slipped, and the referee started counting real fast, and but he ain't knocked me out. And I just looked at him and said, okay, fighters, sometimes fighters don't want to admit that they've lost the fight, and that and I wasn't going to say, though, but I saw you get knocked out by Roy Jones. I wasn't going to say anything because he might knock me out. But anyway, that's my little Montel Griffin story. But anyway, right now, Kiki has another story. And let's hear what she has to say on the Shoulder Room Virtual Boxing Podcast.
The following story was written by Phil J. for WorldBoxingNews.com. Floyd Mayweather has once again made his stance clear by continuing to vocally support Israel during one of the most devastating wars in its history. The undefeated boxing legend arrived in Tel Aviv this week to open the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange and meet with Israeli soldiers months after surviving a violent backlash in London for his pro-Israel views. Mayweather, 50-0 in the ring, told IDF troops during his recent visit, "Know that you are winners. I'm here to support you and I will continue coming. I am proud of the state of Israel." The American icon also dined at a Bay's restaurant near Hilton Beach and was welcomed as part of a private delegation, showing no signs of slowing his public support, despite widespread controversy. In December 2024, Mayweather was caught in the middle of chaos in the UK. A viral video falsely claimed a disgruntled fan had punched the boxing star on the streets of London during the backlash. Mayweather later denied being struck and clarified that his security team had quickly intervened when tensions escalated. "I wasn't punched," he said. "People were trying to crowd me and my security took care of it." But the incident only seemed to strengthen Mayweather's resolve. Alongside his symbolic appearances, Mayweather launched the Mayweather Israel Initiative, a charitable campaign delivering birthday gifts to orphans affected by war. The initiative includes a traveling outreach van and promises monthly visits to support widows and children caught in the conflict. "It's a beautiful place with wonderful people," said Mayweather. "I will continue coming here until my dying day. When I stood behind Israel, I wasn't looking for an award. I thought I did what was right. I take my hat off to the soldiers, those warriors from Israel. I am behind you 100%. As Mayweather continues to fly the flag for his chosen side, those against the ongoing war fired a warning to the former boxer. "You should stay away from the UK in the future," said one in response to Mayweather's promotion of Israel. Another added, "Maybe he was boxed in the head too many times." Mayweather does hold support too, with a commentator describing the ex-pound for pound king as an absolute treasure. Despite ongoing fighting in Gaza and mounting international criticism, Mayweather has remained unwavering. His message has divided opinion and drawn attention to the war in equal measure. The five-weight world champion is no stranger to controversy, but this chapter in his post-boxing career has proven more politically charged than ever. While some applaud his loyalty, others argue that his stance risks inflaming tensions even further. Yet, in typical Mayweather fashion, he's refusing to back down. "My name is Money Mayweather, but I'm about more than money. I'm about people."
I wonder if they were giving butter biscuits out at that dinner he went to. But, yeah, Floyd, that's a shame. That's really a shame. I wonder, is he helping the children who have been injured in war in Palestine? Is he doing that? Is he talking to those soldiers too? Of course not. That's a shame. Great fighter, but as far as a person, his political viewpoints, yeah, it's not there. That's a shame. But somebody's got, is paying Floyd to do all this. And that's so sad. Sometimes, I don't agree with the statement, but sometimes some folks should stay out of politics completely and concentrate on their sport only. And Floyd Mayweather Jr. is one of those folks. I mean, that's really a shame. Will he be helping the soldiers who have been fighting in Sudan or Ukraine or even over here in Thailand and Cambodia? They had a border skirmish last week here. Will he help those victims? Will he help the victims in wars all over the world? That's a shame. So what do you think? What do you think about that? Let me know. But anyway, we're going to get to whoa, stop. No, they are, Malcolm and Ella at it again. Coffee break, and what are they talking about? Let me listen. They're talking about boxing and analytics. Oh, let's check this out.
Ella, you realize that analytics is revolutionizing boxing. Fighters and trainers now have access to data on punch accuracy, stamina, depletion, opponent tendencies, and even injury risks. This isn't just numbers, it's fight IQ on steroids. Look at how Lomachenko uses footwork data to optimize angles, or how Mayweather's defensive metrics made him untouchable. Analytics remove guesswork and give fighters a scientific edge. If you're not using data, you're fighting blind.
Revolution? Come on, Malcolm. Be for real, more like ruination. Boxing is about instinct, heart, and adaptability, not algorithms. You think Ali needed analytics to outthink Foreman in the Rumble in the Jungle? Or Tyson studied punch stats to destroy opponents in 2 rounds? Data turns fighters into robots, stifling creativity. Worse, it favors cautious, point-fighting styles, turning wars into chess matches. Fans want drama, not spreadsheets.
Fighters still need heart. Analytics just sharpen their weapons. Data doesn't replace skill, it enhances it. Look at Canelo's body punch success rate, or how Fury used clinch stats to neutralize Wilder's power. And let's talk safety. Analytics can predict fatigue or punch absorption, reducing career-ending damage. Ignoring this is negligence.
Safety or overprotection? Boxing's danger is what makes it legendary. You think Hagler vs. Hearns would have been better if they'd managed their punch output? Analytics encourage fighters to avoid risks, turning them into corporate-approved products. And what about the human element? Trainers like Emmanuel Stewart built champions through psychology, not Python scripts.
Nostalgia blinds you. Every sport evolves. NFL quarterbacks study release times. NBA teams track shot efficiency. Why should boxing stay in the dark ages? Analytics help underdogs scout giants, like Ruiz using AJ's clinch weaknesses. It democratizes the sport.
Democratizes or homogenizes? Soon every fighter will have the same optimal style, and we'll lose the wild, unpredictable brawls that define boxing's soul. Data can't measure intangibles, like a fighter rising from the canvas in round 12. That's magic, not math.
Magic won't pay the bills when a fighter takes unnecessary brain trauma. Analytics is here to stay, adapt, or get left behind.
Then enjoy your sterile, data-driven sport. I'll be ringside for the next Parker and Usyk fight.
You know, in some aspects, I'm an analytic geek in some things, like in baseball, but I have my limits. And I've interviewed some folks about analytics over the years, analytics in baseball and football, hockey and basketball. And my thing has always been the eye test is the main thing. You can have all the computer data you want, but it comes down to your eye test and your heart, what you have inside you. And no computer spreadsheet can't measure that. And in boxing, I don't know. But after common heads, they've settled down here. Malcolm and Ella, they're going to give into a deeper dive discussion about data and if it's revolutionary boxing or not. So let's hear their calm down version of what they think about it on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into a sport that's really steeped in tradition, boxing. We often think of its raw human grit, right? But it's being radically reshaped by some pretty cutting-edge tech.
Yeah. So our mission here is to explore how AI, artificial intelligence, and data analytics are changing, well, basically everything. How fighters train, how scouts find talent, how we analyze matches, even how judges score. You're going to get a real shortcut to understanding this whole transformation.
Absolutely. And what's really fascinating, I think, is this collision. You've got this sport known for its, human element, the artistry, hitting up against the cold, hard precision of data. We pulled from a ton of sources, traditional stuff, new AI things, business strategies, training insights, fan experience. It's quite a mix. It really is. And we think you'll find some aha moments here. Boxing looks simple, right? Just fists flying. But it's becoming this incredibly strategic, data-rich battleground.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to really get where boxing is going, we kind of need to start with where it's been, especially with statistics. For the last, 40 years, since '84, boxing stats have mostly relied on this, pretty simple system, human-operated, often called the clicker method.
That's right. You typically have two people right at ringside. One watches the blue corner fighter, one watches the red. And each one has this little 4-key device. They're tracking jabs thrown, jabs landed, power punches thrown, and power punches landed. Companies like CompuBox have been doing this for ages, over 3 decades. Used it in something like 10,000 matches. They claim over 95% accuracy with it.
So super straightforward. Click, 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 almost analog, and that's been the standard. But it makes you think, right, what are the limits of that, especially compared to what technology can do now? Which brings us neatly to the big difference today, AI. You've got companies like Jabber with their custom-built AI called Deep Strike. And this is, it's definitely not just people with clickers anymore.
Oh, it's a huge leap. Jabber spent years building this AI, literally from scratch. It wasn't an off-the-shelf thing. They fed it a massive amount of data, 250,000 examples, they say. And each one was painstakingly tagged manually by professional sports performance analysts. That dedication, that human input into the training beta, that's what makes it different. Yeah, our sources point out you might see other AIs using stick figures or these 2D pose estimators for tracking movement. And those are okay for some things, but they're just not great for the specific complex movements in combat sports. Deep Strike, because it learned from boxing data, is way more accurate for this.
So how do they get that accuracy? You mentioned near perfect.
Well, they get special feeds from the broadcasters, ISO feeds they call them, from 3, maybe 4 different camera angles around the ring. This means the AI can see the shots without anything blocking the view, no occlusion. It gets the full picture from multiple viewpoints at once.
Ah, okay. So it sees everything.
Pretty much. And for every fight, the system creates these full videos. You see all 4 angles, and there's an overlay showing each punch as it's registered. And crucially, every single punch is also saved as a separate slow-mo clip.
Slow-mo clips of every punch.
Yeah. It's not just for looking at later. Performance analysts can actually monitor this stuff live during the fight. They can quickly check clips if something looks off, ensuring the data's right. It's about transparency.
And that transparency feels really important when you hear about controversial fights. Like the sources mentioned one, Maestro versus Fox, described as just ridiculous. Fox was apparently outboxing Maestro for almost the whole fight, 12 rounds, but Maestro still gets the win. And you see Fox just devastated, feeling totally robbed. It really raises questions about fairness, doesn't it?
Exactly, and that ties right into Jobber's mission, or at least what they hope to achieve. They want to use this kind of transparent, detailed data to bring some accountability into boxing. Because right now, for a fighter like Fox in that situation, what can they do? They feel robbed, but there's often no real way to challenge it effectively. The data could give them, a concrete basis.
Makes sense. It's not just about what happened, but having proof. Okay, so beyond analyzing the punches, AI and data are changing how we look at the fighters themselves, even before they get in the ring. Remember Moneyball, the baseball thing?
Oh, yeah, Billy Beane, Oakland A's. Classic story.
Right. Using analytics to build a winning team on a tiny budget. Even when his own scouts hated it. Well, similar ideas are popping up in boxing scouting now.
Yeah, the core idea, the premise in Boxing Moneyball, is that the traditional wisdom of insiders, managers, trainers, promoters, it's often been very subjective, maybe even flawed. So you have guys like David McWater mentioned in our reading. He's a manager who leans heavily on analytics. He uses his own proprietary formula, apparently, to predict if a fighter is likely to reach world title level. And it's based a lot on things like their amateur gym background and specific metrics, not just, who they know or their pro record so far.
It's interesting because Moneyball hasn't always translated perfectly to individual sports. It's harder to find that undervalued athlete when it's just them, not contributing to a team's score in the same way.
True, but boxing's a bit different. Managers and promoters, they build stables of fighters. So in a way, they're building a team, managing a portfolio of talent.
Right, like assembling a roster.
Exactly. And this leads to these principles of Boxing Moneyball that challenge the old way of thinking. Our sources laid out about 8 of them.
Okay, let's hear a few.
All right, one big one. Don't just focus on the super hyped amateur stars from the usual boxing cities like London or Liverpool. Look for overlooked talent in less obvious places. Think Lee Selby from Wales or Josh Warrington from Leeds. They came from outside the traditional hotspots. It also means scouting lesser-known gyms, not just the famous ones.
So, looking off the beaten path, what else?
Another principle is, don't only sign fighters who look amazing against journeymen. Beating up on lower-level guys doesn't always tell you how they'll handle real adversity at the top level. True champions often come through tough fights.
That makes sense. Easy wins don't build the same character.
Right. Then there's challenging biases about nationality or trainers. Find value in, say, Scandinavian fighters or guys from Eastern Europe or Africa, not just the usual suspects like Cubans, Americans, Brits. MTK did this, signing Kazakh fighters. And don't get blinded by a famous trainer. Focus on the fighter's actual skills and attributes, not just who's in their corner. You might miss talent at smaller gyms if you only look at the marquee names like Adam Booth or Joe Gallagher.
So it's about the individual fighter's potential, not just their connections or where they train.
Exactly. There's also age-signed fighters in their early to mid-20s, ideally. Avoids issues with development, gives past results more weight. It contrasts with signing guys late in their careers like James DeGale or Derek Chisora were, who maybe didn't quite hit their old heights.
Okay. Any others that stand out?
Yeah, a couple more. Highlight reel knockout artists. They might be overrated. Padded records against journeymen don't always mean real power at the elite level. Knockout percentage isn't necessarily the best indicator of title potential.
Interesting. So flashy KOs aren't everything.
Apparently not, according to this model. And don't write off fighters after a loss, especially if it was away from home. Guys like Jamie McDonnell, Lee Selby, Anthony Crolla, they matured later. Moneyball thinking finds value in fighters with blemished records who maybe got thrown in tough early on.
So seeing potential where others see failure.
Precisely. And finally, find value in less glamorous weight classes. World Boxing Super Series really shone a light on divisions like cruiserweight or the lower weights like featherweight. These are often seen as ripe pools of talent that maybe don't get the same attention.
Okay, so that's a lot of rethinking conventional wisdom. What does this mean for, the average person listening? How can you apply this kind of thinking?
Well, it's about questioning assumptions, right? Looking past the surface hype, whether it's in sports, business, whatever. Where is there hidden value that the collective wisdom might be missing? It encourages a more analytical approach.
Right. Look deeper, challenge the status quo. Okay, so you found the talent, maybe using these Moneyball ideas. Now you need to train them. And the gym floor, that's seeing a revolution too, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Data-driven training is huge in all top sports now, and boxing is definitely part of that. The way fighters prepare is changing fundamentally.
How so? What kind of tech are we talking about?
We're seeing a big rise in technology right there in the gym. Sophisticated motion sensors, advanced software tracking every little movement. This gives pro boxers incredibly precise feedback on things like their power, their stamina, their technique, things you couldn't easily measure before.
Like wearables.
Exactly. Wearable tech is key. Think smart gloves packed with accelerometers. They can measure punch speed, the force of a blow, heart rate, even oxygen levels, supposedly with maximum precision. But it's not just gloves. You've got high-speed cameras focusing on tiny details, like how exactly does a boxer's hip move during a punch? That gives amazing biomechanical insights.
So analyzing the body's mechanics in super detail.
Yeah, and some systems use ECG sensors for real-time heart rate, or they track heart rate variability, HRV, which is a really key indicator of how well an athlete is recovering.
It's not just about physical tracking either, right? I saw mentions of VR.
Yes. Virtual reality and simulations are growing fast. This lets boxers practice specific skills, work through scenarios, refine their technique, all without physical risk.
So they can spar without actually getting hit.
Essentially, yeah. Practice defense, offense, timing, all in a safe, controlled environment. It's a powerful tool, especially for avoiding injuries during training camp.
Okay, so drilling down into the techniques, what are the key data points they're using?
Well, comprehensive punch analysis is huge, measuring velocity, accuracy, power for every type of punch. Heart rate monitoring is vital for optimizing endurance training, making sure athletes are pushing themselves appropriately but not overdoing it. And of course, video analysis. But now it's supercharged with AI, potentially, identifying weak points or patterns that even a skilled coach might miss with the naked eye.
And how does this data feed into their overall conditioning?
It improves it significantly by tracking endurance metrics and recovery numbers like that HRV we mentioned, or other post-workout measurements. Coaches get a much clearer picture of how a boxer is handling the training load. Even data from things like Fitbits or nutrition apps like MyFitnessPal gets integrated. Sleep quality, macronutrient balance, it all plays a role in proper recovery, which is crucial in boxing.
So it becomes incredibly personalized.
Totally. These athlete-specific trackers help create really effective, tailored training plans. You can target specific weaknesses. And, maybe most importantly, it aids in injury prevention. By spotting tiny, subtle changes or imbalances, things that might not even be noticeable yet, you can potentially head off serious injuries before they happen.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How could applying that level of data-driven insight help with your own goals, fitness or otherwise? Imagine having that feedback loop.
It's a powerful concept for sure.
Okay, now for maybe the most controversial idea. Could AI actually judge a fight? Or even referee? Jab themselves said this is highly political.
It is definitely a touchy subject, but Jab put forward a pretty interesting claim based on their tests. They ran their deep strike system on past fights, non-live, just analyzing the data, and they said it did a surprisingly good job predicting the winner.
How good?
Well, in 10 out of 12 fights they tested, the AI picked the same winner as the actual human judges.
Okay, that's pretty consistent. What about the other two?
That's the interesting part. For the two fights where the AI disagreed with the judges, those were fights where the crowd apparently booed the decision loudly.
Ah, so the AI might have been siding with the popular perception or maybe the objective reality of the fight.
It suggests the AI was onto something, yeah. That it was picking up on objective factors that maybe aligned more with what the audience saw or what a purely statistical analysis would show.
So how does an AI even score a fight? What's it looking at?
It learns by measuring enough objective parts of the action. Jabber trained their AI on, they said, 1,000 fights where they already had the official judge scorecards. So the AI learns to correlate the fight stats, punches landed, power shots, etc. with the scores the judges gave. It learns to map the data onto scoring patterns. The goal is to become a neutral, unbiased judge that just looks at the stats.
And what's really wild is apparently it can predict scores before they're announced and even predict controversy.
Yeah, that's a fascinating angle. Because it learns the typical scoring patterns, if the actual judges' cards come in looking very different from what the AI predicts based on the fight data, the system can flag it. It can essentially anticipate, okay, this result doesn't match the statistical picture, expect a backlash. Like predicting those social media storms, the cries of robbery.
A controversy early warning system.
Yeah.
Based on data.
Kind of, yeah. But, and this is important, we have to acknowledge the limits. Current AI judging doesn't measure everything.
Like what?
Like subjective things. Is a fighter looking hurt even if they aren't getting hit clean? Are they showing flashy defense that impresses the judges or the crowd? Are they taunting? That stuff. The AI doesn't really get those nuances yet. Which leads to a big question. Should that stuff matter for scoring anyway? Or should it be purely based on effective offense and defense?
That's a whole philosophical debate about the sport right there.
It really is. And tied into this judging issue is an uncomfortable point raised by the data. That the money side, the fighter, who's maybe the bigger draw or has the more powerful promoter, seems to get favored slightly by judges sometimes.
Oof. Are we talking unconscious bias or?
The data doesn't necessarily say why. It could be unconscious bias, crowd influence, maybe even something more deliberate in some cases, who knows. But the AI, being objective, offers a way to potentially keep the record clean, or at least highlight when judging seems to deviate significantly from the raw stats.
Okay, so the implications for judging are huge. What about betting?
Yeah, this accurate data isn't just for fighters and coaches. Bettors are getting access to way more information now. Readily available stats, trained algorithms analyzing fights, looking at key metrics like reach, defense, round-by-round scoring. It allows for much more informed betting decisions, moving beyond just gut feelings.
A new era for sports gambling, too, then, driven by data.
Definitely seems that way.
So it leaves you with this big question, doesn't it? If you could shake boxing's future, where would you draw that line? Between the subjective art, the human drama, and the objective, cold, hard numbers from AI and data.
There's no easy answer to that one.
So wrapping this deep dive up, we've seen how boxing, this what we think of as pure human grit, maybe even an ancient tradition, is actually right on the cutting edge. AI analytics, changing how we even understand a punch, Moneyball strategies, finding hidden gems.
Yeah.
The sweet science is really embracing tech.
Yeah, and our core message, as always on the deep dive, is that knowledge is great, but it's most valuable when you understand it and can apply it. This push for data in boxing, it's really about bringing more transparency, more accountability, and optimizing every single part of the sport for fighters, coaches, fans, maybe even the judges.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. As AI and data get deeper into sports everywhere, will this hunt for objective truth make the human drama better, fairer, more exciting? Or will it maybe strip away some of that subjective magic, that unpredictability, the what-if arguments that make us love these spectacles in the first place? Think about that. Not just for boxing, but for any field where human intuition is meeting this wave of data-driven insight.
Don't you find it funny when AI is talking about AI? Thank you, Malcolm and Ella, my AI presenters. And that I hope you enjoyed that conversation about, data and AI and everything in boxing. It's here. It's here. I don't care for some of it, but it's here now. It's just everywhere. But anyway, hope you enjoyed that. We're going to do a little music here right now. We're going to do a stick man from Dead Prez, and the title of this is Joe Louis. So let's hear this on the Showdown Virtual Boxing Podcast.
I walk in the gym, oversized hoodie, skinny but I'm cut, going hard like Tookie. Straight to the floor, get started with the jump rope, get the blood pumping, clear the lungs from the blunt smoke like a gun. I bust rounds on the heavy bag combos, cut them down like a machete edge. The footwork drives all techniques, stay putting in work. All I eat, think, sleep, wide grip on the ball, to pop out my wings, forearms swole up like Popeye eating greens. Speed bag sound like I'm programming drums, rapid fire shots like automatic guns. My Uzi weighs a ton, gun, banging on my headphones. Take the abs to the lab, go hard or go home. Twist on the sit-up, squeeze when you sit back. 20-pound medicine ball with a six-pack. Straight to the push-ups, bang out 100 clip. Kicks on the heavy bag, take out the punishment. Hard work pay off, never take the day off. I keep my body ready to rock like the AR. 15, the gym keep my mind out of chaos. Wiping off sweat, shaking all the hate off. I train to live, I live to train. Just go hard or go home, no pain, no gain. Hard work, just another daily routine. Healthy and strong like Joe Louis in the ring. I train to live, I live to train. Just go hard or go home, no pain, no gain. Hard work, just another daily routine. Healthy and strong like Joe Louis in the ring.
I'm on my Joe Louis. My six-pack is so stupid. I ain't pimping them calisthenics, got the women choosing. You can see that I was swole through my t-shirt. You ain't got these. Check my feet work. Nah, you ain't got these. Side kicks and roundhouses, left hooks and right crosses. Got the referee count. My body is a temple, so I meditate to it. And tattoo with symbols, so just relate to it. Stop training? No, I can't do it. That make my day go bad. In this battle that I ain't losing. If you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. No machete or the Glock, and I'm still deadly. The reason I was training every day and doing different styles, I could beat them every way like that MMA. Bruce Lee started that. It's time to get it in. Let's see where your heart is at. Come on.
I train to live, I live to train. Just go hard or go home, no pain, no gain. Hard work, just another daily routine. Healthy and strong like Joe Louis in the ring. I train to live, I live to train. Just go hard or go home, no pain, no gain. Hard work, just another daily routine. Healthy and strong like Joe Louis in the ring. Survival of the fittest like a mafia cartel. A boss, but the only weight I push is a barbell. It's strange how you could learn a lot from a dumbbell. The burn make your vein pop out like a gun shell. My mind state like an inmate in a jail cell. Iron willpower, discipline made of steel. Strict regimen, military drill. For all my comrades, real recognize real. It's combat mode, warrior code. You can walk this road, we lift the heaviest loads. Mind over matter, monk meditation. The cost of success is paid in dedication. I train to live, I live to train. Just go hard or go home, no pain, no gain. Hard work, just another daily routine. Healthy and strong like Joe Louis in the ring. I train to live, I live to train. Just go hard or go home, no pain, no gain. Hard work, just another daily routine. Healthy and strong like Joe Louis in the ring.
The warrior lives to train. The warrior trains to live. The way of the warrior must be hard to build spirit, body, and mind. Are you hardcore? Face your fears. You are the vanguard, so you must train hard. 2 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles, more.
And that was Stickman and from Dead Prez and Joe Louis. I hope you like that on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast. And are you training out there? Are you hardcore? If you listen to this program, I know you're hardcore. You're a hardcore boxing fan. And I hope you enjoyed the show today. We try to give you the best shows possible here. And we'll be back here again the next time. And I want to thank all the folks that listen in and all the folks that send me messages on Facebook, YouTube, and other places. Thank you so much. As I always say, go in love and go in peace. Help someone along the way. There are wars and rumors of wars out there, so do what you can to make this big blue ball a better place. When you get up in the morning, get up, hug yourself, and say you love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, you can't do anything because you don't love yourself, so you don't love anyone else. But love yourself and go out in your community. If you see trash on the ground, pick it up. Don't wait for somebody else to do it. If you see a young person in need, help them. Don't wait. If you see a senior in your neighborhood that needs help, don't wait. Help them. Do what you can. If you see an animal in distress, if you can do it, help them. But do what you can. We're all in this together. We're here for a moment, and do what you can in this moment to make it a better place. This is Greg Rashid again with the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast. Thank you so much again. Go in love and go in peace. See you next time. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Please become a member at patreon.com under the title Ringside Fantasy Fights and News. See you next time.